quickly remedied, we were now ready to do our first test.
I don't know why we're at half mast. What does that mean? It's slipping down. First aircraft to take off is going to be the drone. We're going to obviously have to put that on the deck to take off. Oh, aircraft carrier works. Hey! Okay, casting off. Yes! It works! Oh, I'm so pleased. This has taken so long to build. Look at that, beautiful.
After so much hard work, it was amazing to see it all paying off. And as a bonus, the carrier was actually quite easy to control.
Right, I'm going to swing it around. I don't know if anyone said that about an aircraft carrier before. I can't believe this is working so well. It's alright, I've got it. Hey! First voyage success!
And now for the first aircraft landing of the day.
Oh, perfect! Right on the deck.
But I had a feeling that this one would be a heck of a lot easier than the ones that we would attempt later on.
How do you feel it's gone so far?
It's going fine. It does feel like it's drifting a little with the breeze. So, well, that's what I've just felt now. But we have enough power to overcome it. Almost fell in then. But yes, so it's all going well at the moment. I'm a bit nervous about later when we start putting the aeroplanes on it though.
Of course, I had to see how stable the aircraft carrier was, with some added payload. As I was enjoying the ride though, I got a bit carried away and drifted into some parked rowing boats.
You grabbed the hook and pulled me out.
Oh, yeah.
Thankfully, no harm done, and I was back on my way, only receiving a few funny looks from the locals. Now mid-morning, the wind was getting up and we were keen to crack on with the main event, the RC plane flights. So we loaded 3 planes chosen for the first mission safely onto the deck and tied them down to avoid any going overboard. With her engine at full ahead, the mighty aircraft carrier charged forwards into uncharted waters, with myself, Finn and chief videographer Hannah in the pursuit boat.
It's like full ahead.
Concerned about the wind, but with the bow pointing up the lake, it was smooth sailing and we were well on our way to our first test point.
That yellow plane looks like it's about to fall off the deck. It isn't great because that's my favourite one. I think it's probably the one with the most chance of landing. So if we lose that before we even start trying to fly the planes off the deck, then it's not made it any easier for us.
Thankfully, the string tied to the T-28's undercarriage held fast, and we continued the journey right up to the point that a gust of wind caught the side of the aircraft carrier, and it all started to go a bit sideways, literally.
Oh God.
After that slight deviation to proceedings, we now decided to take some preventative measures.
String has taken over. We decided that it was easier to do this rather than fight the wind for the moment.
Watched by some intrigued onlookers, we moored up at a small beach that would become our base for the next couple of hours, and got to work setting up the aeroplanes for their first perilous missions that could very well also be their last.
Big shout out to all of my Patreons, by the way. Some of their names are on the sides of each plane, so thank you very much to these people and all of my Patreons for making this sort of thing happen. If you want to sign up, link in the description.
I had over 10 years experience flying all sorts of model aircraft in all sorts of environments, but this would definitely be the most demanding and difficult flight yet.
Good luck. Thank you. Cheerio. Let's go.
Flying from an aircraft carrier is one of the most difficult tasks for a pilot, so would I be able to do it as an RC pilot?
I've been waiting for this moment for about 3 or 4 months now. And now it all comes down to my flying skills. I've been practicing, but will it be enough? Don't know. We'll see.
Even getting the plane onto the deck was a bit of a challenge.
I'm ready.
I might have to actually climb onto the thing. Hang on, I need to get around here. Ready? Yep, ready. Go.
With the team ready, my spotters beside me, and most of the lake watching, it was all down to me. Would the plane even get airborne, or would this all be an embarrassing disaster?
Ready for launch. Clear for takeoff.
Valle. Nice meeting you. Comment where you from.
Oh, look at that! It worked!
Success! The Air Scout made it
Where
look
are
easy.
you from?
Going FPV, it was
What
now over
country
to
are
my
you
spotters to
from?
keep me informed about where I was and how I was looking as I started to practice my approaches for landing.
You guys asking what am I doing now? I think visual aids for tomorrow.
Missed it. Stuck.
How did that
Okay.
look?
That looked great.
Did it look good?
It looked good.
Okay.
Where do you
We
live,
had one big
Jury?
issue though. The aircraft carrier
Yung
kept
pahinaya
rotating
ako na ding, be.
and drifting while we sat stationary in the water.
Where are you from, Julie? Jury? Sorry.
It's not very square. I bought.
Thankfully, some quick thinking from Finn fixed this
Comment
as
down
he drove
below
our
where
escort
you
boat
from,
forward
guys.
slowly, pulling the aircraft
Hello
carrier
to my
straight.
8
I now found I
viewers.
had another potentially more mission-critical issue though, as from my perspective, I could hardly see the aircraft carrier while I was coming into land.
Thank you.
Due to the glare of the sun
If
reflecting
you
off the
subscribe
water.
to my
When I got
channel.
closer though, the aircraft carrier came into view, but I definitely needed my landing signal officer, Hannah, to call out my position relative to the deck, just as is the procedure on real aircraft carriers, as Brendan had told
Ay.
me. And through working together,
Taga-saan
we
po
were
kayo?
getting closer.
I'm
Continue left a little
from
bit. Yeah.
Tagum City,
Right.
Davao del
Left.
Norte.
Left.
Abi na ako kuan ni lahi nasod. Taga-Tagum po ako. Ikaw po, taga-saan po kayo?
Abort.
Taga-saan ka po,
A
Jury?
successful landing was getting closer, but the battery on the plane was running low, and one wrong move could spell disaster. But with gentle stick movements and a calm head, I did my best to guide in the plane from the FPV feed, whilst Hannah
Hi,
called out
Kyle,
directions.
Zian,
Would this
Pilario.
time be it, or would it
Cagayan
go
po,
wrong?
ma'am, sa Kamaman.
Promising.
Ay, taga-Cagayan, shout out.
Left. Bit more left. Looking good. Looking good. Left. 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 Left.
Shout out also kang Kyle, taga-saan si Kyle, Zian, Pilario.
No. Abort.
Thank you sa pag-subscribe sa aking channel.
I was fully expecting just to see the water then. On the goggles, I just expected to see it all. Victorious!
Okay.
Well
Ito
done!
ang visual aid ko for
Oh, we did
tomorrow.
it! Somehow the plane had bounced off the plank of wood glued
I'm
along the edge of
making
the deck
tar
after
papel.
missing the arrestor wires. So that had been quite a good
Me?
idea in hindsight.
Well done to Andre for his
Abayan po,
victorious
Mams.
plane
Kamaman.
landing on the deck. So,
Kamaman
yeah, really
an
pleased
po.
with that. Let's go with the next one.
Next was the T-28's turn, which had a cockpit-mounted FPV
Okay,
camera, rather than this camera
Jury.
being right in
So,
the nose
Bisaya ka,
like with
Jury.
the previous aircraft. This would make things a little more interesting,
Bisaya
as
man
I'd
ka,
have more of a
Cagayan.
realistic, but a very much obscured view. To add to the pressure of pulling off another takeoff and landing, now we had quite the crowd gathered under the trees on the eastern shore, keen to see some more model plane action.
Taking off.
The ski jump was doing its job, and another plane was up in the air safely and ready to control the lake.
Nice meeting you guys. Thank you
With
sa
my goggles on, I
pag-standby.
could weave the plane between the trees either side of the lake
Can
and start to
you
line up for another landing. However,
subscribe
the wind
to my
now increased,
channel?
and I was finding the turbulence from the trees to be quite strong.
If you also have a channel, I will follow
I
back.
came in for a few wobbly practice runs, but my view from the cockpit was rather poor, to say the least.
Looking great. Good. Bit higher. Bit higher. Oh yeah. Abort.
Again coming in for another pass, I had to fight the wind and spot the carrier through the glare of the sun reflecting off the water. What was
Hi,
worse,
Jason's
as I set my aerial
vlog.
attack for
Hi, good
landing, I
evening
kept
po.
losing
Kumusta?
sight of the
Pa-shoutout
carrier
po
as the
from
news
San
of the
Jacinto,
228
Masbate.
blocked.
Wow!
Meaning that I was now almost entirely relying on my
Hello,
spotter for direction.
Jason.
With battery levels running near
Pa-subscribe
empty, I
po.
got my plane lined
Yes,
up on a
I'll
very
follow
low
you
approach
back.
and made a last-ditch
Shout
effort
out
to land.
Jason Vlogs. Sige. Ma-follow back ako mamaya, Jason.
Kaya mo mag-magic with Maggie Magic Sarap. Try mo na!
Let's look at the LEGO warships comparison in different scales.
For now, busy pa ako sa aking
3 parts,
visual
starting off with
aids
some small gunboat.
for tomorrow. Your
7 parts, now it's swinging more of a warship.
Hi, Delia Balikog. Hi po, ma'am. Good evening. Hello, good
15 parts,
evening.
better
Shout out
shape on that
Delia
gunship
Balikog.
already.
Taga saan si Delia Balikog? Ako po, taga Tagum ako.
35 parts,
Dito
and
sa
the
Davao del
details and multiple
Norte.
different cannons on this.
Davao region. Okay na po, ma'am.
70
Ingat ka po
parts,
palagi.
looks like a
Salamat,
much more
Jason's
advanced and bigger
vlog.
version of the previous.
I'll follow you back after this live.
100 parts, finally getting the shape of a real warship.
Anong grade po kaya natuturo? Grade 1. Taga saan si Ma'am
273
Delia?
parts. The cannons
Hi,
are
Ma'am
so big
Delia.
and detailed on
Grade
this.
1 po
Looks
yung
so
tinuturuan
real.
ko. And now, this is sa paggawa ng tar papel for tomorrow. Sama, Bingbi. Pasensya, maingay ang background kasi yung anak ko busy sa sa television. He's watching television now. Dan, subscribe po. Thank you, Jury Valier. Kung may channel ka, Jury Valier, i-subscribe din ko. Thank you, Ma'am Delia Balikog. I'll follow you back and subscribe you back po. Salamat. Yung mga ko, yung mga pinopost ko, yung mga daily life routine ko lang. Anong school yan? Hi, Kyle Zian Pilario. Anong school yan? Ano ito? Sa school dito sa amin, sa Visayan Village Central Elementary School. Tagum City. Tagum City.
We have to protect our families, Elf. The zombies are coming.
I'm going to protect my family because I'm a professional at protecting.
That area is yours. You'll have to build a military base, and I'll build a military base here on my side.
Salamat,
My
Kyle
military base is going to be
Zian.
the strongest in the
If
world,
you
sir.
subscribe to my channel.
Let's go. I'm going to start by building a hangar.
I'm going to start here, sir, making a drive-through.
What's this about a drive-thru?
Makes for like literally probably the best aerial invasion air cavalry experience you're gonna find in a game like
Thank
this.
you.
Gosh, the M60 going tut 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 is incredible. Oh my gosh, we already took this one? Oh wait, that's, if you look closely, that's Viet Cong right below me, or NVA. I'm not sure if they're Viet Cong
Akala
or
ko
North
taga
Vietnamese.
ibang bansa yung mga
Probably
viewers.
North Vietnamese. Oh
Dito
my
lang
gosh.
pala sa
I just realized my M16A1
Philippines.
has 20 round magazines. Like, whose bright
English,
ideas are like,
English
yeah,
pa daw
we're gonna
po.
give them a 20 round magazine as standard issue instead of something like 30.
Pero
gosh.
malay mo,
You know what
lagi
that is?
masama.
But like, look at this. All you hear is helicopters.
May bata po sa likod nyo. Yes!
Now I know where they're coming from.
May
Over
bata.
Here. Oh, man.
Yan.
You hear what the trees
Ang
are speaking?
aking anak.
You hear, right? What do you got? Oh, you got a
We're
little-
waiting po sa sundo namin. So, wala pa yung sundo namin. Kaya, ginawa ko muna tong
When in doubt, in the Vietnam War.
tar papel ko para
Shoot
tomorrow.
arbitrarily at the trees, man. Oh
So
gosh.
when he
Oh
comes,
guys, get away from it. It's gonna blow.
then
Look at this.
uwi
Quad
na
50.
kami.
Oh. Okay,
Since
stop
malapit
sticking
lang
up
yung
in the
bahay
air,
namin sa
Captain.
school.
So now I should be able to respawn. The
Ay,
good news
okay
is I
lang.
don't have to be stuck in like 20 round M16 mags. Guys,
Alam
I'm
ko
seeing
po
a
yan nasa
UFO.
likod ko.
Hello, my friends. Today, I'm continuing the recap of the
grade ka
career
na, Jury Valle?
of the street artist's
Are
daughter
you still
battling blood
studying?
cancer. Let's dive into it. Junho plans to trap Gi-hun using the tracker embedded in his tooth. Boarding the captain's
Yay.
boat with his squad,
Okay ba?
they head toward the island's location. Meanwhile, Gi-hun wakes up in the
Done
same
with the
dormitory from the first
passport.
season. He notices a strange woman staring at him. As he gets up, she addresses him by his
Then-
number and tells him she senses he is carrying the weight of many
Next
unresolved
is
burdens.
I'm
I
gonna
see the
make
wandering souls trying to
head.
feel able to rest. You didn't come here of your own volition. Those vengeful souls dragged you here.
And offers to help him clear his karma once they escape. She claims to be a shaman. Their conversation is cut short as staff members enter the dormitory. A square-masked staff member welcomes the new recruits to the games. He explains that over the next 6 days, they will participate in 6 games. Some players begin protesting, outraged by their abduction, while others complain about the cheap and unattractive clothing.
Yung room namin. Yan. Oops. Ito na erase.
A man from the subway station whose girlfriend is pregnant demands his phone back so he can monitor his cryptocurrency investments. He yells, "You know how much money I've invested?" The staff member addresses him by name and begins recounting his debts. Lee is revealed to be the former owner of the YouTube channel NG Coin, which
Please
promoted
comment
cryptocurrency
pa
called
kung ano pa
Dalmatian.
yung
His promotions
gusto nyo
caused his subscribers to lose a combined
itanong.
15.2 billion won when the currency collapsed. Afterward,
Sure.
Myung-gi shut down his channel and vanished. Now
Question
he is
and
wanted for
answer.
fraud. The staff member's speech silences him, leaving his girlfriend stunned to see him in the games. The staff member continues, pointing out that every player in the room is in severe financial trouble.
I subscribe too. Thank you, LZ and Hilario, sa pag-subscribe. Okay din pala tong live, no?
He then gestures to the ceiling, where a giant piggy
Kasi
bank is.
makakakuha ka ng bagong
Cash will be added to the piggy bank.
subscribers. Now I know.
The total prize money will be 45.6 billion won. However, this season introduces a surprising new rule. After each game, players will have the option to vote on whether they want to continue or end the games. If the majority votes to stop, the prize money will be equally divided among the surviving players. Ji-hun, surprised by this new twist, asks for clarification. He looks directly at a surveillance camera, visibly skeptical.
May mga
During the briefing, one player is berated by his
student pa dito. Wala na.
who scolds him for participating in
Konti na lang.
games. Shocked, the player
Hindi pa nasundo ng mga parents nila.
She joined the games to help pay off his debts.
Lazy, how could you drag an old lady into this? You should have followed something.
This problems with those who consent to games.
There they are. Okay, back to work.
Soon approached Myung-gi, pressing him aggressively. They reveal they are former subscribers to his channel and had invested significant amounts of money into the Dalmatian coin based on his advice. Furious over their financial losses, they demand he repay them, threatening violence if he refuses. Myung-gi brushes them off, coldly explaining that their investments were their own decisions.
Whenever you're investing, in the end, it's up to you to make the final call based on your own judgment.
Afterward, the players are led to a hall where their photos are taken. One player recognizes player 230 as the famous rapper Thanos. Word spreads quickly among the younger players, and soon a crowd gathers around him, begging for selfies.
Hey, you want to get in on this too?
I'm gonna make a headdress for
A staff
my
member
little
intervenes,
ones.
reminding them that only one person can take a picture at a time. Meanwhile, in the control center, the players' pictures are displayed on the floor. Upon seeing a transgender player, an elderly woman turns to her son and curiously asks about the girl.
Someone's originally a man, but they transition into a woman after a while.
I don't get why a man would want that. Shh.
one or the other. That's just the way things are.
Say that, Mom, here.
On the way to the first game, Gi-hun is approached by his old friend Jung Bai, who is shocked to see him alive. Jung Bai explains he hasn't heard from Gi-hun in 3 years. In the meantime, Jung Bai has lost his business and gone through a divorce. Gi-hun sternly advises him to take the game seriously and to stay behind him once the game begins. Meanwhile, Junho and his squad approach the source of the GPS signal. The captain expresses concern about Junho's heavily armed team, prompting Junho to explain. He reveals that he found someone who survived the games, but the guy was abducted and dragged back to the games. However, they managed to implant a tracker on him. As they get closer to the island, Junho explains that there must be infrastructure, such as roads and helipads supporting the games. They land and track the signal to its source, only to find a fisherman with the tracker in a can of worms for bait. The man confesses that someone at the dock handed him the leftover bait without explanation. Meanwhile, the players are brought to a large field for the first game, red light, green light. Feeling uneasy, Gi-hun discreetly checks his fake tooth and is alarmed to discover the tracker is missing. He quickly realizes he's in serious trouble. In the control center, the front man is approached by an officer in a black jumpsuit who informs him that everything is ready for the first game to begin. On the field, Gi-hun stands in front of the players and warns them that this is no ordinary game. He insists that anyone who moves will be killed. Most players think he's crazy, but his stubbornness and serious tone begin to sway a few. Some players accuse him of trying to frighten them to gain an advantage in the game.
I think he's just trying to freak people out. Then he wouldn't have to share the money. He could win all of it. Hey, you bastard! You're not fooling us!
Meanwhile, Thanos flirts with a girl, mocking Gi-hun and making light of his warnings. As the game begins, Gi-hun takes charge, commanding the group on when to move and when to freeze. He cleverly covers his mouth with his elbow to prevent the doll from detecting his lip movements.
Hold still!
The front man observes the game while sipping alcohol and listening to jazz played by eerie mechanical dolls.
What the hell are you doing? Is this a friend of yours? No, never met him.
The game progresses smoothly until a bee lands on the neck of the girl Thanos is flirting with. Thanos points it out, causing the girl to move. A gunshot rings out, and the girl collapses with a bullet through her head, proving Gi-hun's warnings were correct. Gi-hun quickly orders everyone to remain calm, but panic spreads among the players. One woman begins screaming and is immediately eliminated, setting off a chain reaction as several players try to flee. Chaos erupts, and many players are killed before Gi-hun manages to calm the remaining group. The game's mechanics are revealed. The AI-powered doll detects movement with trackers in its eyes and announces the numbers of those who move to snipers stationed around the field.
Player 188.
The snipers then eliminate those players within their line of sight. Among the snipers is No Yul, who is stunned to spot the father of the sick little girl, the very reason she agreed to return to the job. Gi-hun explains that the doll has trackers in its eyes and suggests forming lines to use each other as cover while advancing. Meanwhile, Thanos sneakily pulls out a big-ass Christian cross with a hidden compartment filled with tablets. He swallows one of the tablets, visibly lifting his mood. It's baffling how the staff allowed him to bring such a conspicuous item into the game. I suspect it was intentional. Feeling emboldened, Thanos begins intentionally pushing other players, seemingly for his own amusement.
Bye.
The pregnant girl struggles to keep going, visibly weak and unsteady. The old lady tells her to stay close, promising to take care of her. As the players inch forward, everyone moves in fear, except for Thanos, who gleefully enjoys the game under the influence of his Infinity Stones. Gi-hun and Jung-bai eventually make it to the finish line. However, a player near the end moves when another girl collapses on him. He begs for his life, explaining it wasn't his fault. A sniper shoots him in the leg instead of killing him outright, intending to keep him alive for organ harvesting. The injured player cries out for help, and Gi-hun, moved by his pleas, runs back onto the field to rescue him. Player 120 joins Gi-hun, and the trio makes a daring run for the finish line. They cross just as the timer reaches 0. However, as they celebrate, No Yul shoots the wounded player square in the head, shocking Gi-hun and enraging her colleagues involved in organ smuggling.
Hey, number 11. Was that you?
He lost, so I took him out.
After the game, the surviving players return to the dormitory, shaken by what they have just endured. Meanwhile, the soldiers, including No Yul, retreat to their quarters.
Meanwhile, on the boat, Woo-suk suggests searching the nearby islands using their drone. However, Junho points out that they were likely intentionally lured to this area, and that the real island is probably in a completely different location. The captain, noticing a storm front approaching, suggests calling it a day. Woo-seok, still confused, wonders how the game organizers discovered the tracker.
How'd they know he had a tracker in his implant? And what did you guys go get drunk and blab about it last night?
Back in the dormitory, armed guards enter the room to congratulate the winners. The mass staff member announces that out of 456 players, 91 have been eliminated. It's hard not to notice that, thanks to Gi-hun, the number of eliminated players this time was reduced by more than half compared to the previous season. Some of the players start begging to leave, promising to pay off their debts on their own. The staff clarifies that the games are not meant to force players to settle their debts, but to give them an opportunity. Gi-hun proposes voting to end the games. The staff agrees, but first unveils the prize money. For each eliminated player, 100 million won is added to the prize pool, bringing the total to 9.1 billion won. They explain that if the games are terminated now, each remaining player will receive about 25 million won. Some players are disappointed by the relatively small sum.
Serious, man? Come on, we like almost died.
And express their eagerness to play more games to increase the prize. The voting begins, with players voting in reverse order. Gi-hun, being player 456, votes first, pressing the X button to quit the games. The shaman woman starts shouting her bizarre statements about fate and destiny.
No matter how hard you try to fight it, you'll never be able to escape your fate.
After voting, each player attaches a corresponding patch to the right side of their chest and stands in the area marked with their choice. During the process, many players vote to continue the games. Gi-hun pleads with them not to risk their lives for money, urging them to think carefully. Some players accuse Gi-hun of trying to manipulate them through fear.
You kept going on and on about how we were all gonna die, and I got so nervous that I was almost killed out there.
But others defend him, pointing out that many survived thanks to his leadership. The tension rises as Gi-hun reveals that he has played these games before.
12 din ang pasok namin.
And that everyone who played alongside him was killed. Player 100, Jeong-dae, who has the largest debt of 10 billion won, argues in favor of continuing the games, noting that they have the winner of the previous games among them, so there's nothing to fear.
We have to end this right now, so we can get out of here alive. Everyone!
Starting now, we will not permit any action that interferes with the voting process.
Ironically, Gi-hun's words backfire, convincing some undecided players to vote to continue. After the lengthy process, the votes are evenly split. It all comes down to the final player, player 1. He approaches the voting machine and hesitates for a moment before casting his vote. To everyone's shock, he votes to continue the games. As he turns around, and surprise, surprise, it's the front man himself, In-ho. In the next scene, the staff incinerate the bodies of the eliminated players. One coffin is marked with a blood cross, indicating that the body is to be harvested for organs. A little later, the remaining players are served food. Jung-bae tries to cheer Gi-hun up, telling him that things aren't as bad as they seem, and that they can walk away with more than 20 million won after the next game. Gi-hun, however, responds grimly, reminding him that no one except himself survived the last games. In-ho joins the conversation, asking Gi-hun to help them survive the games. He adds to Gi-hun's guilt by claiming that Gi-hun is the reason he voted to stay.
You're the reason I ended up voting to stay. It's true. After the first game, I thought I was gonna quit. And then I saw you, and I thought to myself, one more, then I can go.
Gi-hun feels disheartened by this. In-ho then asks about the next game. Gi-hun says the second game in the previous season was Dalgona Honeycomb, and advises them to choose the easiest shapes to increase their chances of winning.
And which was the hardest one? Umbrella. Umbrella? Whoa.
In-ho mocks Gi-hun, slyly mentioning that the players who chose the umbrella shape were totally screwed, perfectly aware that Gi-hun had been one of them. The group starts discussing tactics, and Jeong-dae suggests keeping this information secret so more players will fail the next game, increasing the prize pool. However, Gi-hun firmly opposes the idea, stating that the only reason he returned was to save as many players as possible. He vows to warn everyone if the next game turns out to be Dalgona. Meanwhile, the elderly woman treats the pregnant girl with her egg, explaining that eggs are excellent for pregnancy. She reveals that she's delivered many babies in her neighborhood and can confidently tell the girl is pregnant.
I knew from the minute I saw the shape of your body and how you carried yourself. I could just see it. It's not what you think.
She advises her not to compress her belly, warning it's too risky at this stage of gestation and that she should stop trying to hide her condition. The front man asks Gi-hun why he returned to the games after winning 45.6 billion won. Gi-hun explains that he doesn't feel like the money belongs to him.
Wala bang aayaw?
Thinking about it like that. After all, It's not like you killed anyone yourself, and that way of thinking,
Ayos
you can't
saan?
bring any of them back to life.
Growing angry, Gi-hun accuses player 1 of voting to continue the games, claiming it's because of him that they're all stuck here.
True, I was the last player to press O. It wasn't just
Saan
me.
ka
There's
nakatira,
182
Calixtro?
other people who wanted to stay here.
Yeah, and 182 more of them who wanted to get the hell out of this place.
If I hadn't pressed O, if I'd hit X, then we'd all gone home. You think they'd appreciate what I've done? If one of these people ran into me years from now, do you think they'd say they were happy I voted to go? That they ended up with a great life after all?
Jungbai intervenes, attempting to de-escalate the tension by urging them to focus on their next move instead of blaming each other. Player 388 introduces himself as Dae-ho and asks to join Gi-hun's team. He admits that he was impressed by Gi-hun's performance during the first game.
Hostel! That was awesome.
The team hesitates at first, but when Jungbei notices a Marine's tattoo on Dae-ho's shoulder, he quickly accepts him. Jungbei, also a former Marine, bonds with Dae-ho, and the two quickly become friends. Meanwhile, Thanos and his new minion continue pressuring Myung-gi for their cryptocurrency losses. This time, they openly beat him in front of everyone. Despite the growing tension in the dormitory, none of the players, including the two Marines, dare to intervene. The frontman, In-ho, steps in and calmly asks the bullies to stop. When Thanos threatens him, In-ho effortlessly overpowers them, forcing the young men to beg for their lives. In a moment of barely restrained fury, In-ho nearly kills Thanos but stops himself. It's evident he harbors deep, hidden pain and anger. The other players applaud him, calling him a hero. Meanwhile, Jungbei discreetly hides his Marine's tattoo. Later that night, In-ho notices Gi-hun awake and approaches him for a conversation. The two apologize to each other for their earlier argument. In-ho then begins to share his real story, but he speaks in the present tense, as if his wife were still alive.
My wife back home is very sick.
He reveals that his wife was diagnosed with acute cirrhosis and desperately needed a liver transplant. During her hospital stay, they discovered she was also pregnant. Despite the risks, she chose to keep the baby, even though it could cost her life. Struggling to find a donor, In-ho borrowed money from everyone he could, but it was never enough. One of his oldest clients heard about his situation and offered to help by lending him money. While it wasn't technically a bribe, it appeared suspicious, and In-ho was fired from his job as a result.
After I'd given them my best years.
Entering the games became his last hope to save his wife and unborn child.
I know what you meant, Mr. 456, about the prize money. What it costs. I really do. But still, I have to win that prize money, even if the cost is other people's lives. I want to use it to save my wife and our child, and I don't care how I get it.
Meanwhile, some guards are harvesting organs from eliminated players. This time, however, they manage to salvage only eyes, as most of the organs have decayed too much due to how long the players had been dead.
What are you talking about? I left a bunch alive for you.
The guards notice something unusual. Many players appear to have been intentionally killed after being incapacitated. One of the guards who had shot a player in the leg realizes this must be No Ul's doing. They immediately report the incident to their commanding officer, who also happens to be involved in the organ smuggling operation.
The ones without fatal wounds were shot again to confirm the kill, so there's not much usable merchandise.
Who fired those shots?
I think it was number 11.
No Eel is summoned to the officer's office. A guard escorts her there, where she is ordered to remove her mask. The officer reminds her that he explicitly told her not to interfere unless she was willing to assist with their operations. She refuses, claiming she was simply doing her job. The officer recalls the day he first met her 7 years ago. She had been lying in a hospital bed after an intense ordeal. He had been told that No Eel had killed an entire team pursuing her with just one rifle and managed to cross the heavily fortified demarcation line on her own. He reminds her that he gave her this job and that she should be grateful for the opportunity.
And I'll always be grateful for your help, sir.
Then you should do what you're told.
Sir, I don't think I will.
He assumes she's worried that the front man will find out and reassures her that this time everything will go smoothly, as they've hired a doctor as a guard, unlike last time when they relied on a player to perform the surgeries.
There's no way anyone's going to find out about it. And even if they do,
That's not my issue.
Then what is it, huh?
Despite his attempts to convince her, No Eel stands her ground and leaves the room. Back in Seoul, Junho visits his ex-boss and asks for help in finding the mysterious island.
I need you to help me, sir.
Okay. At this point, what else can I do, huh?
Look for that stupid island again or something? Yeah. I'm not this shit.
Together, they approach a general to request a search squad. The general, however, dismisses their request, scolding Junho for bringing up what he considers nonsense and demanding evidence.
Chief Kim, sir.
Ta and Jeggy. The total time limit is 5 minutes. The team must assign each member to a specific mini-game. It's revealed that Gongi is traditionally a girls' game.
It's good we got a woman on our team after all. You play Gongi, right?
But the pregnant girl admits she doesn't know how to play it. Surprisingly, the Marine guy confesses he's skilled at Gongi.
I can do Gongi.
I can play.
A Marine who knows Gongi?
Because he grew up with 4 older sisters. The rest of the team members choose the games they feel most confident in.
I'll do whichever one you think you are.
How did you know my name?
Ah, your friend over here. I heard him call you that, so I thought I'd try it out too. Does it bother you?
No.
Pwede kayong
The game begins, and the
anything
first
you
two
like.
teams start to play. The initial game, Dokji, is the easiest, as it doesn't take much time to recover if you lose a round. However, the second game, Flying Stones, is more challenging, as players waste time retrieving stones when they miss. Gongi demands good agility, requiring players to catch stones multiple times in a specific order. If a player loses, the game resets to the beginning. As the time limit approaches, the tension rises, making it even harder for players to focus and pass the games. Spinning top also proves difficult, as it takes a long time to recover if the top falls. The first 2 teams fail to reach the finish line before the time runs out, resulting in their elimination. Thanos' minion asks him for one of his Infinity Stones, arguing that if he gets nervous, he might screw up the game and doom their entire team. Reluctantly, Thanos hands him a pill. When the staff cleans up the area after the eliminations, No-Yul notices 2 guards marking a coffin with a still-alive player inside. As a higher-ranking guard, she orders them to open the coffin. She promptly finishes the player with control shots, an action that irritates both the organ smugglers and the officer. As the next teams prepare for the games, one of Player 120's teammates starts panicking. Player 120 introduces herself as Hyun-ju and skillfully calms the girl down, giving her the courage to proceed. Her words lift the spirits of all her teammates, and they begin introducing themselves to one another.
I'm Jung-Gun, and I lived through the Korean War, so I know. A few playground games won't kill me.
And I'm the son of Jung Gun-ja, who's a survivor, Park Young-shi.
Sunyo, Shaman of the Sea.
The game starts, and their team reaches the Dokji game. Young-mi loses several rounds and begins to panic. Once again, Hyun-ju steps in, calming her down and suggesting she flip the card in her hand. The advice works, and they advance to Flying Stones. At Flying Stones, one teammate misses the target. They pick up the stone, and following Hyun-ju's orders, the team moves backward without turning around, saving precious time. Observing players take note of this clever tactic.
Looks like you save a lot of time if you don't have to turn around.
Ganja motivates her son with encouraging words, saying,
Try to imagine that stone is the face of the communist swindled you out of your money, all right?
With her support, he successfully knocks the stone down. The crowd erupts in cheers for the team, further fueling their determination to succeed. Gunja tries her best in the Gongi game, but loses her first attempt.
Hurry up! You'll have...
Now, her son motivates her with encouraging words.
Mom, didn't you always say, during the war you used to play Gongi with bullets?
She nearly completes the game, but freezes before the final and most challenging move. Once again, Young-sik finds the right words to boost her confidence.
Mom, think of it like this. Try to pretend that's the hair of that bitch-dad cheated on you.
And she finishes the game with ease. Next, the shaman takes on the spinning top game. Struggling to wrap the rope around the top, she panics and fails repeatedly. Frustrated and overwhelmed, she begins praying to her gods and eventually bursts into tears. Hyun-ju steps in with a different tactic, snapping the shaman out of her panic with a series of motivational slaps.
If you give up now, I'll kill you before any of your damn gods can.
Refocused, the shaman successfully wraps the rope and passes the game. Now it's Hyunju's turn. The rule for her game is simple. She must bounce the toy 5 times with her feet. She asks her teammates and everyone around to turn around and not watch her. With her focus unwavering, she completes the task on her very first attempt, allowing the team to cross the finish line just 1 second before time runs out. The team's dramatic success inspires and motivates the remaining teams. More teams successfully finish the games, but tragically, some do not and are eliminated. As time goes on, only 2 teams remain, Gi-hun's team and another. Gi-hun's team quickly clears the Dokji game on their first attempt. Jungbai follows by easily knocking down the stone in the Flying Stones game. When it's time for the girls' game, Gonggi, Daeho surprises his teammates by completing it with flying colors, leaving them in awe. Meanwhile, the front man, who is left-handed, intentionally spins the top using his right hand, stretching the game's duration. At one point, he even throws the spinning top back to the previous line, pretending to be frustrated with himself. As time runs out, he finally spins the top correctly with his dominant hand, completing the task. In the final game, Gi-hun takes on the challenge of bouncing the toy. He starts strong, but on the 4th kick, he accidentally sends the toy too far. The frontman saves the game by subtly manipulating Gi-hun's foot, which is tied to his own, ensuring the team doesn't fail. They cross the finish line just in time, while the other team is tragically eliminated. This concludes episode